Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to World of Warships. Now, before you leave the video or whatever, it's pretty important that you stay here if you are interested in War Thunder, because I will talk a little bit in the comparison about those two games. Now, I'm here in the new German battleship, the tier 5, the König. I skipped the tier 4 as it looks pretty much like the Japanese battleship, the first one you get your hands on. And I was like, I'm having none of this. I skipped it with free experience. Yes, that's a thing in World of Warships. And I had a few battles in the König so far, and this is, I guess, the most successful one damage-wise. Now, talking about the comparison between World of Warships and War Thunder, the big topic is, of course, capital ships. And I will talk a little bit around. And the first thing is, if you rant about, Gaijin deciding to not have capital ships, at least in the closed beta testing phase, that's what it is at the moment. They not excluded it at the beginning. That was a nice salvo, by the way. I highly recommend you to just download World of Warships and have a go in it, especially in the early battleships, and you will soon know what's the problem with especially battleships in the early tiers. It changes a lot actually at higher tiers. There it's more dynamic due to the ships having a higher speed, in certain cases faster reloading, main armament, they can shoot further so you can participate in the actual battle faster. But there are a lot of problems when we go into this topic. So I made myself a few notices or notes. Compared to World of Tanks or also World of Warplanes or whatever it is called, the HP system is understandable despite the fact that it is unrealistic. And watch this. Oh, that was brutal. And also the stats are, changed and adapted for balance reasons. And they're not really always, historically accurate. But overall it makes sense. I don't agree with most of them, but somehow they make sense. And also we have, the one thing, paper ships are filling gaps, like I guess a few Russian ships and the two top tier, or not top tier, but the tier 9 and the tier 10 German battleships. They were never, in existence. They were never actually built. I guess one H-39 class battleship or two of them were laid down, but they were never completed. Now, in this gameplay, where you have the stats to limited range, secondary range is also limited. By the way, you can't actively control the secondaries, which is kind of a shame because it gives you something to do, or it would give you something to do in a battleship, while you missed your first salvo and reload and, The boost of acceleration, especially on battleships, is something extremely unrealistic. I had a case where there were beach cruisers. I aimed at their stern and they, reversed under my salvo. That hurt. And again, I have to recommend it to you to download this game and give it a try. And when you're used to War Thunder, obviously you will not like it at first. But you get a feeling for the actual combat, for certain tactics, and also when you try out battleships and cruisers and destroyers, you will see how nimble destroyers are, how fast they are compared to destroyers, compared to cruisers, and especially battleships, especially the first battleships or dreadnoughts. They are really clumsy, sluggish, slow, whatever. And so when we came to the post of the announcement of ships, they actually mentioned it, that it's too boring, and I certainly agree. And battleships in World of Warships are also not the very most exciting thing. You actually have to hunt destroyers, which is a bad idea and you should never actually do actively. Except you're in a turpits and you have fully upgraded secondaries. Yeah. You shouldn't hunt them. And the spotting mechanic, where there is smoke, then there is radar, sonar, hydroacoustic search, and the spotting distances, also invisible torpedoes, and the last thing you hear is beep, 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 boom, you're dead, yeah. One final thing that I include right now will show you another problem, and those problems are called aircraft. Aircraft carriers have an unprecedented possibility of really ruining your day. And in this battle, I thought to myself, oh, I'm literally the king of the battle. I was the only tier 5 battleship. Problem was, I was focused down. Cruisers couldn't help me because at that tier they don't have the what's it called, air defense module, which they activate and they riddle the dive bombers and torpedo bombers and throw them off so that their accuracy is really reduced. By that time, I just repaired from a cruiser getting set on fire on 3 different locations in one salvo, and I was set on fire on 2 different situations. And that's the next thing. While World of Warships in its basic is not a bad game, there are certain mechanics that just I hate, and those are the cooldown on the damage control party, which just simply kills you. Aircraft carriers can time it, they see that you get set on fire by their first dive bomber squadron, and then they launch after you damage control partied that. They just simply throw another dive bomber squadron at you and a torpedo squadron, so you flood and you burn. So you burn while you flood, and you can't do anything against it, and this leads me to combined arms within War Thunder. Just imagine you're driving your brand new Yamato, you spent all the golden eagles to get all the possible upgrade systems, and then there is that one bastard in, let's say, a P8 dropping that 5,000 kilogram armor piercing anti-infantry whatever bomb onto you from, like, I don't know, 6,000 meters. Much fun, is it? Yeah. But my AAA, yeah. Unless that AAA isn't as devastating as the anti-aircraft artillery on the island in the middle of Norway in patch 1.59. Yeah. Never mind. You have difficulties shooting down. And also, what about suicide bombers? Gaijin has answered that question yet. They will not allow damage by ramming planes or planes ramming ships, which is for gameplay reasons and gameplay reasons only. But imagine some guy, flying around with his stock Kika. He has no chance in the air combat, so to speak, and just takes his upgraded 800 kilo bomb and suicides into you. And the second before ramming you, he releases the bomb. Much fun, is it? And so the decision for smaller vessels is a really good one. Also, they are not featured in a game like World of Warships, and that's certainly true. And today's stream from the Gamescom just showed this wonderful Russian ship, I guess, with two twin 25mm guns, which are upon each other. I'm really looking forward to play this, and for big ships at first, I can have World of Warships. Which game I prefer is a different question. And I think it will turn out like it turned out with tanks. At first, there is a lot to adjust, I guess. There is the game fun not so much given. There will be a long testing phase, like in the closed beta phase of tanks, which I participated in as well. But at the end, World of Tanks, I think I have played it in the last year like 3 matches, something like that, And War Thunder is really the superior game, in my personal opinion. I have much more fun in War Thunder Tanks that I could possibly have in such an RNG-based game like World of Tanks, which is also, I say it right here, pay to be competitive. If you don't spend gold or practically real money to train your crew to a 100%, you have no use in your team. Best example are scout tanks, which get up to a +3 matchmaking, and are mostly guaranteed to have a +1 matchmaking at least, because they are, they are matchmake like a medium tank 1 tier higher. And when you go in there with the 50% or even with the silver, crew of 75%, you really effectively cannot spot. You're not competitive, and you're a hindrance for your team. In War Thunder, for me, that drastic difference was never given. Yes, there are the repair parts and the fire prevention system, which are certainly a problem, especially at higher tier tanks. And I hope that Gaijin really doesn't make the mistake of implementing such nonsense for ships. Yeah, but that's the battle in the König, and overall I think the ship is good, but overall the +2 matchmaking when you're facing something like Colorados or Gneisenau's and Scharnhorsts, and even the tier 5 destroyers are a real pain in the ass. And the one thing that I am really wanting to go for is the next ship, the tier 6, the Bayern class. I heard a lot of good things about it, and I really want to have a good look on that ship. You can expect a video on that ship as well, hopefully pretty soon, because the research earnings on the König is not too drastic, to be honest. And there is one more thing. World of Warships, together with World of Tanks, show how advanced War Thunder really is in terms of, the programming of the game itself, the core programming. There were many things that really threw me off of World of Warships, or that I hate a lot. And that's not, you know, not just the RNG and the stats and all those limitations, the slow turret rotation speed and, or the hit point system, therefore. You know, those are the different things. But if the UI itself forgets commands, takes a long time to load, throws you out of the server, you know, just because you tap out, even when you're in a game, you know, the waiting times, a lot of the mechanics which I mentioned before, you know, damage control party is not really fun if you don't time it right. So some of the map designs, you know, where there are gigantic islands that make the game so unnecessary frustrating for me, you know. You know, and those extreme high repair costs from tier 7 and 8 onwards, you know, where you just are on a constant hunt for silver. Imagine all planes in War Thunder having repair costs of Japanese planes. Even P-51s and bombers. Just imagine that. Yeah. Also, the research way is not very nice. And the most annoying part ever is when you get destroyed in battle, you have to wait until the battle is over before you can use your ship again. War Thunder has a similar system, but only if you crash or if you just bail out of the battle before you got destroyed, you know. Then you have a crew lock, and rightfully so, because anyways we would have it like a long time ago, where you looked at the map, you didn't like it, you just left the battle, and you queued up as long as you got a map or a team that you liked. And yeah, the team that really tried hard to win the battle, or the team members that did not leave, had a harder time because of you. So that makes sense. But if you gave your best in battle and you get punished for it by waiting, just when you want to research that one ship, the modules on it, and probably the predecessor, or, you know, the ship that comes afterwards, to be exact, that's a punishment that I really do not understand. Anyways, I think that's enough ranting for today. I really like the game, but it could be so much better. Like in War Thunder, but in War Thunder, the fixes are, in my opinion, easier to make. The core problems within World of Warships are programmed within the game. Not like in War Thunder, where you just should adjust a few maps or locations and battle ratings and maybe a few flight models or armor penetration values. But I still have fun in the game, and I will continue playing it because sometimes I need a break from War Thunder. And just one final thing to notice for you. Every time I get back from World of Warships to War Thunder, I notice how awesome War Thunder really is. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Subscribe if you want to see more. Give this video a like if you did. Let me know in the comment section if you agree or if you have similar experiences. And if you disagree, let me know why. See you next time on the battlefield.